Good evening. So this will be hopefully a short video. I say hopefully because I'm going to speak about something I have no inclination to speak about that. This is a topic that I really do not. I'm having a headache just to think about it because it was discussed. It was discussed for so long, not only in this YouTube channel, but way before that in the Twitter account and in the Facebook account and in the Evernote account. It was discussed in tremendous lengths, and I understand that people, much of this material is probably not accessible to everybody, and even if it is, maybe they have a problem like fetching the correct. Even for me, it's getting very like in retrospect. I'm kind of like I should have used hashtags. Tags, for like all the videos, because there are so many, and I can't even find videos that I know of the resistance in this channel, because there are already like 1800. There are so many more like in the other places. So I understand it's difficult to get the information, but I really the only reason why I felt like that, okay, I will speak about it a little bit now, is because I understand that people are interested. Like this is kind of like it's of interest to many people. So I decided, okay, I'll speak about it very, very briefly. But again, these issues were discussed for so long. So much. Just find the videos, or maybe I'll find it like in replay it. I don't know if it will be of benefit to you. Just replay the video or the audio, because in the Evernote account it's audio. But okay, I'll do like a very, very extremely short recap of two related topics. One is the question of why am I monk today? I don't even try to be in any relationship with a woman since 2020. It's like out of the question, and it's not going to happen at all in Israel. It's not going to happen. And the second is a few words regarding the nature of the Israeli intelligence. And this is also, I don't want to think about them. I've spoken about these people so long. Starting almost 5 years ago, I've written about them and their problems and their nature, and it was started 5 years ago. But I will say a few words because they're related to this topic. So there are several reasons why I absolutely cannot have any kind of sexual relationship in Israel. It's absolutely dangerous to me. Like, it will put my life in a great danger. But what I would want to now, and I'm not going to, I don't feel like the notion, to speak about all those reasons now. Maybe I'll replay other videos. I just mentioned one thing that's not even like the most severe reason. Actually, it's not the most severe reason, but it's the most severe from from the political perspective, like from perspective not of me as a person, but of like what kind of a state is Israel, and why it should be destroyed like today. What kind of Nazi state is Israel? From that point of view, yes, this is the most severe. Because other intelligence services, they are known to trap people into romantic relationship and sexual relationship. This is the oldest trick in the book. It's probably like that since thousands of years ago. That's what they do. That's what they do. It is known to be so. So people of high status, and I never thought of myself even remotely. I was never even close to be rich or famous, so I never thought of myself. But I'll address this issue in a second. I'll say that all over history, men of high status, were aware of the problem, because, it's the oldest trick in the book, and they, if they were smart, they took all sorts of precautions, against it. Because really, what's more, cliche than that? And sometimes this actually puts the life of the person in great danger, because this woman can either like strictly assassinate him, or in our time, just false accusation, police and things like that. That is like assassination many times. And all of this is extremely relevant to me. But what's special about me and about my circumstances and the things that I'm going through in Israel and I went through, is that there are other reasons that perhaps are not that severe, because they did not put my life in immediate danger, but they were much more severe from the political aspect, or for the political lens, because this is a symptom of a slave society. And this is something that other nations don't do, or at least not like the Israelis. This is a cruel type of slavery that is unbelievable, that it's something that is even happening. And it's happening. It's my life. So I would address this in just a few words. But I should say that I find it the most severe because of the political aspect, not because it poses the most danger to me. Actually, there are other reasons that are more, I would say, classical reasons that are that pose much more dangers to my life, like immediate danger to my life. But this is actually more like, in the lines of things that people know from history, like that people are doing it. Like I know I've discussed this so many times. I really forced myself to speak about it because it's so disgusting, and it was discussed many times. But I understand people are interested, so I'll do it very quickly. I will speak about it very quickly. Like some people now, they understand that everything that the Israelis ever said about me is a lie. I am strictly heterosexual, and of course I had sexual relationship in my past. Of course, I had girlfriends. I was married. Of course, we had sex during the marriage and before, and also several one-night stands. Not many, but several. Like pretty normative. So some people, don't want me to speak about it, like to describe the stories, and it's something that I actually almost never done in the past. Like, because I find it not interesting. Like, really, it's not that interesting. Like, what do you want to know? Like how the robot fucks? Just, watch any video, like, in any of your, educational sites in the internet, and, it's like that. It's not different between, it's whatever, it's, yes, we do that, and this, just, this is, it's just, it's of no, it's of no interest to nobody, really. And how did it came to be? So it's actually mostly when it actually ends with sex, it's actually very boring. Yeah, a man meets a woman and they are both interested, so they force themselves to enjoy like a tedious movie or a tiresome meal like at a restaurant, and they do it again and maybe again. Until they feel that they pay their tribute to the gods of dates. And then, they allow themselves to fuck each other, and, it's not that interesting. What I always found more interesting and more relevant, and to my publication, like both in this channel, but before that in the YouTube in Evernote years ago, what I've always found more interesting are the cases in which I met a woman that I understood that we have like a potential for either sexual relationship or more than that, maybe romantic relationship, but nothing actually happened. No romantic, no sex, nothing at all, nothing. And I just, I described several of these, including with names and places, like, so it will not be, just a hearsay. So I described several of such episodes that I had during my life in the Evernote account, and maybe also in the YouTube account, because I think that these are much more interesting, because I've learned a lot from it, mostly in retrospective. And what initiated this kind of retrospective is the last case, which happened during like the last case was different than the others because it was already after 2019. During 2019, I understood that I'm not Homo sapiens, that the intelligence services of the world, and especially the Israelis, are always targeting me, and that nobody will tell me the truth, and that, I mean, like, that's like the Truman Show. Everybody around me are lying to me, so I need to, to trust God that the truth will be revealed to me, and to start a tedious discovery journey that is still going on since 2019. So it's like, it's almost 5 years now. And of course I documented my thoughts all along this discovery journey. Now in this YouTube channel, but before that in other social media, network media, outlets, and also in the Evernote account, which is like a notepad, like notes. So the last case was with Sivan, and that case was not. I mean, I barely knew her. Like I barely. I mean, there's nothing special about her. Like like other cases that I described, I actually knew the woman much more than her. Like we barely knew each other. Like and we had not. I mean, I never touched her. Like even with a nail, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. Only work relations that I think were quite successful. Like we had like we had like good work relations, but this is of no particular interest to nobody. Just the interesting thing about this case is that it happened after 2019. So I was already extremely suspicious about everything. Like I was always in detective mode, always extremely skeptical, super skeptical about everything. That's what made this case with Sivan important. Not because she was. I didn't even know. I almost didn't know her. We spoke, only only about work things, and it was actually everything was completely correct. I think we have I didn't work there for long, but in the couple of months that I worked with her, she was kind of like she was sort of my boss. In more than yes, she was. Yes, she was my boss. She definitely had the authority over me. Just to say, from from a rigorous perspective, like from legal perspective, yes, this is a case of like a boss and employee, definitely so. Even though she was not above me immediately, because she was higher up, like she was one of the founders of the company, and she was and I was a low tier code monkey. So you can ask, so why? Was it so important for her to work with you to dedicate her time to work with you? Something that she didn't do with others, even with much. That worked in the company for much longer than that. So yes, because all of that, of course, I would just say, what's important for me to say is that I was extremely skeptical at the time, and because of that, I understood what's going on, but also, and much more important than that, I connected dots of things that happened to me since I was about 20 or 21 years old. I connected the dots, and that's why it was so important, because it led me to create a retrospective of my life, and this was done and it was documented in the various channels, where I reminiscent about I would say romantic things that I had with women, some that materialized, as they say, but some that did not at all. And actually, as I said, those that did not were actually more interesting, because you actually learn more from them, from these examples. And what I understood is that I am a target of the Israeli intelligence for a long, long time, and that the objectives were not always the same, because the Israelis didn't always know what can they get from me, and that was the only thing that is the only thing that they care. Like, how can we abuse this person? How can we use him like an asset? But they did understand, since I was about 20 or at least 20, the higher ups understood that I am not a Titan, and this is something that most Israelis to this day deny. Like, most people of the Israeli intelligence until this day, they deny that I am not a Titan. They vehemently deny it. It's part of their agenda. But the higher ups knew that it's not correct. And they knew it since at least 20 years ago. I'm now 40 years old this day, January 7. This is my 40th birthday. January 7. I was born January 7, 1984. And at least since I was 20, the knowledge that I'm not a Titan started to proliferate and reach the higher ups. Now, before that, actually, other people knew, and I discussed it in videos actually from the last 2 months, like my childhood in Ramat Aviv Gimel and Ramat Aviv. Actually, interesting videos. Maybe if you didn't hear it, maybe I'll replay it, because when I discussed, people from Ramat Aviv and Ramat Aviv Gimel, and actually I think it's quite interesting. Because you should understand, the Israeli intelligence is extremely distributed. Like, nobody knows nothing about what the other is doing. Everything is kind of like a religion. That, everything is, word to mouth and clues and hints. So the true knowledge about myself was kept as a secret within the Israeli intelligence. Even though I was born in Ramat Aviv Gimel, and most of my childhood was spent in Ramat Aviv, and a lot of it was actually in the Tel Aviv University, like almost literally inside the national headquarters of the Shabak. Almost literally so. And tremendous amount of the people that I knew, were related to the Shabak and the Mossad as a child. But ironically, or not, just because of that, it was actually easier to keep the knowledge about me then. But I discussed it in other. This is not the topic of this video, and it was discussed in the last couple of months. I think it's actually interesting videos in the last couple of months, where I discussed my early life, and and the notion of the secret, because it's not that people just discovered it in a day. It's just, when I doing my military service, there started a process of quick proliferation of the knowledge within the Israeli intelligence. Because before that, it was a secret within the Israeli intelligence. So the higher ups, just 20 years from now, knew that I'm not a Titan, so they asked themselves, okay, how can we abuse this person? And the answers changed along the way. And mostly, after I'm a father, I became father. I have 2 daughters, 7 and 8 years old. And everybody, certainly among the higher ups, they know that these are my natural, they were born in a natural way, they came from the womb of their mother in Hadassah Har HaTzofim, Jerusalem. It's first October 26, 2015, and then October 3rd, 2016. Yes, we were very, how would I say it? Functional in this aspect, but not in any other aspect of our marriage. There were sometimes this phenomenon is called Irish twins. My 2 daughters. According to some definition, they are Irish twins. So, and nobody doubts it. These are my daughters, and this was actually, people didn't know that, that it can happen. And this opens a whole new realm of abuse. Let's create a new line of, Israel is US robots and mechanical men, So, the US corporation with monopoly over everything robotics. So, I mean, and they have like, the long-lasting, very successful T-line and also the robots line. So they thought, oh, great, maybe we can open like a new product line of like baby robots. And this, I mean, this is so disgusting, but again, this is discussing other videos. I will not repeat myself. Not now. You hear the zombies, they have what to contribute to the conversation. They have what to contribute, the zombies. They still contribute to the conversation. So along the years, the notion of how can I be abused as an asset was developed in the Israeli intelligence among the higher ups. But since 20 years ago or 19 years ago, they started to understand that yes, we can abuse this person, and the best way to do it was to send prostitutes to seduce him. And then we will have sex with them, and we can get all sort of, they will get all sort of material advantage from it. Of course, they have operators that running the show, and this always, is done, under the service or is Her Majesty's Secret Service, like under the aegis of the state. It's always like all of these occurrences. Where just from start, where Israeli intelligence operations that supposedly should serve some kind of state agenda or state objective. But as it is in every other intelligence service, and mostly above all in the Israeli intelligence, there are always like people along the line that are גוזרים קופונים, איך שאומרים בעברית, גוזרים קופונים. It's always true, but הכי נכון בישראל, שאף אחד בישראל לא עושה כלום אם הוא לא גוזר קופון על הדרך. אז תמיד יש את גוזרי הקופונים, יש את הזונה עצמה שגוזרת קופון כזה או אחר, ויש את המפעילים שלה שגוזרים קופון כזה או אחר, ויש את המפעילים את כל הפרוצות האלה, כן, הטיטניות בשב"כ מלמעלה שגוזרות קופונים. כל אחד גוזר קופון, everybody is like, have like a cut, in the booty. But it always serves some kind of like a state interest. So it's always like a prostitute that is sent by the state to serve some kind of shut the fuck up. It's always a prostitute that is sent by the state to serve some kind of interest of the state. And along the way, yes, she also, having like, some kind of material advantage from it, and and the operators, and again, the whole chain of like, scumbags. Now, I couldn't have understood that this is happening to me throughout my life until 2019, because I didn't know that I'm not like a regular Joe, like Homo sapiens. And so, why should, yes, if you were very rich or very famous or, a person of influence, maybe I could have suspected that things like that happen. Because it's known from history that these things are happening to like men of like that are of influence, or if they are very rich. But I was never even remotely rich. I was a regular Joe of the regular Joe. Always. So why should I've even start to think about it? This was not even I never even like thought about it. But after 2019, I understood there is something special about you, and it's absolutely something that is about your nature. Like you were born that way. It's not something that you did, because I never did anything special. Like I was never involved in anything remotely political. I never had like my life was as straight as you can think about. Like everything super straight. Military service. Officer, intelligence corps. Honorary. Degree. Like in the Hebrew University. Everything. Marriage. Children, divorce. Everything. Just the straightest possible. So never involved in anything remotely queer in any kind of interpretation of the word. So it's not something that I've done. It's something that I am since I was born. So doing the Sivan thing, that was actually not that important and very short and not interesting. But the important thing is that I was a different person. It wasn't like I wasn't the same Noam like of 20 years before or 17 years before that. because I was super suspicious about everything, and I remembered every word that everybody said. Like, I mean, everything I written like in my mind everything that everybody said. Like, I mean, and not only what they said, but also their, their expressions, like their facial expression when they said it. Even that I kind of like, I mean, I try to write in my mind. Like, I was that. This was like, this was the kind of person that I was when I worked in this company, just for 6 months. But yes, it was different than anything before that, because I was extremely skeptical, and I had like my attention to details was, I mean, higher than I think that I'm a person that I have like pretty good attention to details. But this time, I mean during this time, it was, I know, again, after, I mean, the discovery journey started, I kind of like, I mean, I try to remember, like, again, not only what people said, but what was their special expression when they said it, I mean, to that extent. Because I mean, it's not the same thing that you understand that you're not Homo sapiens and you're part of a Truman Show, then I mean, you're always in a detective mode, and it's still true to this day. So when I understood that this is what's going on, that, I mean, that the state sends me prostitutes, I understood that that's it. I mean, you must be a monk, you must have no sexual relationship at all or romantic relationship at all in Israel, and that if you want any kind of sexual relationship or romantic relationship, this must be done outside of Israel when you're out of this cruel prison. And that's my agenda since then. Like, I mean, complete monk, Christian, like in the Christian like sense. No sex at all. I don't even try to, I mean, I don't even think about it. Like, I can say that she was the last woman that, I mean, I was like romantically and sexually interested in, not because there was something extremely special about it, but because after but this was the last straw that, I mean, made me aware of everything that happened before that. And I discussed many of the things that happened before that. I don't want to repeat myself now, but I discussed it with names and places. That's not just abstract concept. Like, I discussed an actual episodes. And again, the interesting episodes are those that do not materialize in any kind of like sex or like the failures from the Israeli perspectives, because their objective is always that there will be some sex. The failures are actually much more interesting, because you learn from it, even in retrospect, even many years after that. At the time, I mean, you don't understand. I mean, but I do have a memory. I remember things that happened. So, in retrospect, I understood what happened. Yeah, and I also understood that this is slavery of the worst kind. Because it's not just that they try to exploit, like, a rich or a powerful person, which is also, I mean, morally, disgusting. But it's not to do. People are known to do it. But no, this is the only way that they try to. The only thing that they can exploit for me is my nature, my biological functions, because there is nothing else that I can give them. They don't care about my scientific studies, even now. Even when I show them, like, in this channel, scientific proof of how I can create the tea that are so coveted in laboratory and multiply it in laboratory conditions, which is perhaps one of the most important discoveries in the history of humankind. And I don't want to, like, my ego, I don't want to inflate my ego to kind of like, to over, like, laufa al atzmi, as they say in Hebrew. But this is, I mean, objectively, this is truth. What I've done in the last year, in my mother's department, when I was under arrest, and also mostly here in this hostel, everything that I've done, and mostly, above all, the energetic pathways and the ecosystem pathways of multiplying and raising and increasing the size of the neurons in laboratory conditions, objectively, this is one of the most important discoveries in the history of humanity. And believe me, I don't want to become, I don't say it. I mean, I say it because objectively it's truth. It's true. I mean, I don't want to lie. It's true. And I don't, like, I mean to, to kind of, like, to commend myself too much, or, like, I mean, to wear feathers that are not mine, as they say. No, but I mean, objectively this is correct. It's not only because it's like a drug that you like to eat. It's because these are room temperature superconductors. And they can grow. And they have been shown to grow tremendously. And without a doubt, with, enough, energy resources and because I do everything, with almost no resources at all, in the most poor way possible. But without a doubt, with correct, laboratory or workshop, these can be, these can be used to create unbelievable, factories. This can enhance manufacturing processes in ways beyond the imagination. And not only that, but many other things. But just the fact that just the room temperature superconductors alone, even if they were dead material, even if it was just rings, and they are not, they are sentient creatures with tremendous capabilities. But just to say, even if they were just material, inanimate matter, just rings that you see under the microscope, even if it was the case, it still this, the methods of their multiplication and increasing their size, I would still say that this is one of the most important discoveries in the history of humanity. Even because they can be used as room temperature superconductors. But of course, this is tremendously amplified because they are not dead material. They are robots with tremendous capabilities, and you can communicate with these robots. Anyway, nobody cares about it at all. They don't care. They just want to eat the drug, to eat the tea. They don't care. Robots, not robots. We don't know nothing about manufacture. We get everything, from China in huge ships. We don't do manufacture. This is Israel. What we do is war and movement of tongues and mouths. And that's what they do. That's what they do. Either hit you with the stick, or that's what they do in Israel. Why should they care about manufacturing? Room superconductors, their ass. If it's so important, so the Chinese people should discover how to do it. That's their job. They manufacture the stuff, and the Israelis just get everything, in shipments. This is also to food, because almost all food is imported in Israel. Everything is imported in Israel. They just do the stick thing and the mouse thing. That's what they do. The stick and the mouse. This is the kind of people that they are. This is reality. They don't give a shit about room temperature superconductors. It's 100% of the state of Israel. That's the way it is. So the only thing they want from me is my natural functions. Like a farm animal of the lowest type. They treat me in ways that are more humiliating than what people treat farm animals these days. And I understood it. And I understood I cannot cooperate with that. I must be a complete monk. This is out of the question. Any kind of sexual relationship, romantic relationship in Israel, this is out of the question. And I just became a monk. Like three or four years ago, I just became a monk. And that's it. Like a Christian monk. That's it. הבסה סגורה, אין יותר שום סקס, שום רומנטיקה, עד שאני בורח מהכלא הנאצי, אני ובנותיי. Until I'm rescued from this Nazi hell. Me and my daughters. Because, obviously, this is abhorrent. Like, to use a person, for his natural functions, to send him prostitutes, this is abhorrent. Now, it should be said that these intelligence, they are stupid and disgusting. And many times, sometimes, yes, these operations succeeded from their point of view. I have had sex in my past with more than one woman. But a good amount of time, it actually failed. And the failures are actually interesting. And I discussed it in the past. The failures are actually interesting. Like I would say that, in the last case, like in Sivan's case, this was actually a failure that I placed under the category of complete stupidity. But it wasn't always under that. I said because probably if nobody in the Israeli intelligence even intervened at all, if just they did not exist or pretended they don't exist, almost certainly we would have had a sexual relationship. Almost certainly. And that was their objective. But they did everything that they can to prevent it from happening. Even though that was their objective. Why? Because they are absolutely idiots. They are a bunch of, they are, idiots. Complete idiots. This was complete idiocy from their perspective. From my perspective, this is a crime against humanity. It's not the idiocy. The problem in this case was not the fact that the operators were a bunch of troglodytes, prehistoric humans. The problem is that the entire operation is predicated on unbelievable abuse that I became aware of because of that operation, and in retrospective, many other cases. But from their perspective, the failure was just, it was just complete stupidity, unbelievable stupidity, unbelievable stupidity. But other cases were not always like that. There were other reasons for the failure, because they're not always they're stupid. Sometimes they have this tremendous. Sometimes it's incredibly important for them, for these operators, to the part of the thing will be that they gather shameful information on you. This is sometimes it's incredibly important for them, and it fails the operation because they do all sorts of stuff. They raise their stakes all the time. And it's not enough for them that you will have sex with the prostitute. You need to do it in a way that will be shameful, that they can be recorded and maybe later extort you, or they like to do it. It's not a new thing. That the scumbags of the world like to do it. Famously, Librante Beria in the KGB, but also J. Edgar Hoover at roughly the same time in the United States. That was 90% of what they've done. It's known to be so, and it was like that. This is true. 90% of what the Hoovers and the Librante Beria done is just that. Just gather shameful information on people, most certainly including people of their own parties, the Communist Party, or people in the federal government in the United States. Most certainly, but all over the world. This was the main thing of the fine gentlemen, like Edgar Hoover and Librante Beria. That's what they did, and that's set, and to some extent it's like that. It's not exactly like that. As a side note, I would say that this tendency was somewhat curbed because of the in itself cruel and disgusting tendency in this world, to populate higher up positions with homosexuals and pedophiles and to get them to marry them to titans. So this kind of disgusting institution actually, to some extent, was a countermeasure to people like Librante Beria and J. Edgar Hoover. But let's not get into it. This was discussed in other videos. It's not a topic. But yes, that's still part of what they do, these people. That's part of what they do. And sometimes this kind of operation failed. Obviously, in retrospect, I understood it when I replayed everything that happened and everything that people said, because I have good memory. So I understood that this failed because, the operators were, hell-bent on not only that we'll have sex with the prostitute, but also that, to gather, shameful information on me, and this failed the operation. Another time it failed because it was just, because they are sadistic many times. Many times it's just pure sadism, not because they're stupid or because, it's important for them, to gather shameful information, but because these people are sadistic. And this actually failed the operation. That they themselves, they do things that are just, violent and sadistic, and it just failed. It failed from their perspective. From my perspective, any kind of failure, this failure is, I thank God for any kind of such failure. Thanks God. That saved me from from say any kind of relationship with a prostitute that is sent by the Shabak. I thank God that it helped me get out of this. Of all the several. It's more than one case, and it started almost when I was it started 20 years ago or 19 years ago. I finished this video, with just mentioning two kind of problems of the people of the Israeli intelligence. And I hate to speak about it because I've spoken about it so much in the past, but these kind of things are just, to exemplify to you why these people fail in what they do, and why are they, even though they are part of a totalitarian regime, they many times they just, completely fail in what they do because of their, thought problems. So I just, mention two things. First is the issue of חשיבת צעד אחד קדימה. In chess that you think one step ahead. one move ahead. So, actually, it's much worse to do so in real life than in chess, because in chess, arguably everybody starts like that. Like, this is like a noob chess, like an amateur chess player thinks one step ahead. And you can play chess like that. I mean, you will never be like, even like, you will always be a noob, like, like an amateur, like a very low, amateur. Even children, like, preschoolers, I mean, learn to calculate more than one step ahead. But yes, I mean, in chess, I mean, you can arguably play like that and still play. In real life, you cannot play like that. Unless you are a toddler. Not even toddler, like a pre-toddler, like, a baby. But after you are 6 months old, like a human that is like, is more than 6 months old, they should be able to calculate more than one step ahead. And many times in Israeli intelligence, they don't. They are like chess players, they calculate just the next step. But it's much worse than that, because you cannot play the game of life with just one step ahead. This, I mean, it's kind of like, in computer science, I mean, or algorithm theory, this is called like, I mean, this kind of behavior is like, I mean, is you can say it's like always sticking to the greedy algorithm. And sometimes greedy algorithms are actually, I mean, the optimal algorithms to solve the problem, but it's not true in the general case. In the general case, it's absolutely not true. Like most problems, the greedy algorithm is not the correct, the optimal one for them, for the optimal solution of the problem. This is from computational aspect. But that's the way that many of them act. One step ahead. And another problem is the problem of the periscope. And I understood it when I worked at MyHeritage during 2019, even before the 2018. This was, I mean, the background. It was not only that, but I spoke about it a lot in the past. I don't want to repeat myself. Just to say that, I mean, everything that I've seen in this company, and I understood this is the founder of the Mossad, and I understood that these people, they have severe organizational problems. And one of the problems that was evident to me, and it was always kept, and it is true to everybody else of the Israeli intelligence that I met since then. I understood it at the time, is that they are all like people that are inside a submarine that watch reality with a periscope. Like that. That's the field of view. So they search, do we see enemy ships? Do we see Krakens? Do we see the Loch Ness Monster? That's it. And if they don't see either of these, they think there is nothing else to be seen. So that's how they approach reality, with a periscope. Like, they have extremely narrow field of view, and they search only for very specific stuff. Like, enemy boat, Kraken, the Loch Ness Monster. Anything else, I mean, they don't even search for it. So they cannot even detect it. So it's not that, it's like, by definition, does not exist from their perspective. Everything is absolutely narrow. And many times, I understood the people try to judge me or to evaluate me. Like, it was always like their hobby to judge the person, to evaluate him, to test him. But they have no tools for that, because they are inside the submarines and they watch, they try to, it's like, I mean, again, it's like trying to write, like, a zoological or botanical, like, manuscript about the flora and fauna of Mount Fuji when you are placed inside a submarine in the Pacific Ocean and you place your periscope towards Mount Fuji. No, I mean, it's not possible to do it. Like, if you are inside the submarine and use the periscope, these are not the empirical tools, like the tools that are used to gather evidence that will help you write a manuscript on the flora and fauna of Mount Fuji. No, it's impossible. You need different methodology, different field of view, different empirical tools, and they don't. That's why they fail so many times. Again, all of this, I would say last time, discussed in tremendous length in many videos from the last 5 years, almost 5 years. And I repeated it because I understood that it's of interest to people, and maybe all the material is difficult, like to get access to or to find. But really, I do not feel like I don't have any inclination to speak about this stuff, because it was already, nitran ad afar, as they say in Hebrew. Like, I mean, shredded to dust. It was already, discussed for so long. So just, I have had enough of speaking about it. Like, both about the romantic and sexual abuse stuff, and also the nature of the Israeli intelligence.